Hello, I'm from Turkey. I live in Manisa. Normally I use Turkish as a language, but I want to introduce my car. It's Dacia Duster with the engine of 1.0 TCE, the turbo motor. In some countries it's called as Renault Duster. So it's something international. It's used in widely variety of countries. So I wanted to introduce it in English also. Who am I? I'm a pharmacist. I'm 48 years old. I have used more than 20 marks, brands, and this is my last car. I am using it more than 2.5 years at about 55,000 kilometers. Not much, not less. Turbo and downsized turbo motors are relatively new. They existed in late 90s and early 2000s, but they are using in a range, higher range. It's very new. I didn't use much turbo cars except the diesel ones. Normally I was a atmospheric engine user, and I liked atmospheric engines because they are more predictable. The power line is linear, 1000 RPM 1, 2000 RPM 2, 3000 RPM 3 power. But this turbo is not that linear. 1000 it's half, 2000 it's 3, 3000 it's 2.5. It doesn't get much as you press the accelerator or gas button. And this one, the 1.0 TCE, is more like a hybrid, because the mains of the engine is a remake of an old atmospheric car. Some new Renault Twingo. As far as I have learned, Twingo engine was a hard steel, a remake of aluminium alloy, and of course some new modifications. The 1.0 is made, then a turbo is added. So it's between turbo and the atmospheric engines. Its power line is more linear than directly turbo built cars, but a bit S-sized or S-shaped than an atmospheric car. First of all, in general, what's it like? What does it give us? First of all, Dacia was a Romanian brand or mark. In some countries pronunciations and the words are different. It's normally taken by Renault, but after 90s, after the collapse of communism or the Iron Curtain countries, it's again rebought by Renault, French Renault, and is used like a cheaper brand. Engines and electronics, the engineering is from Renault. Fabrication is in Romania. Like today, everything it's international. In Turkey, it's sold as Dacia. As I have learned, in some countries it's Renault Duster. I don't know which country is in which. So I will use both Renault Duster or Dacia Duster or only Duster. As I have said first, it's built for a cheap brand. It's not much luxury. It doesn't have much luxury. It doesn't give you much performance. It's more easy production. So the outer size and the outer lining doesn't have much conversions. It's built to be easy production. And also these plastics are cheap. Normally polyethylene. It's widely used, and also the containers used for your cleaning stuff is made of that material, polyethylene. Good part for the company, it's easily and cheaply built. It doesn't need much handwork. You can easily build it with machines and less steps. One step means 3 or 2 steps. The small parts like these, and 4-step reunion. And good for us, for the users, it has a very high lifetime. It's very resistant to sunlight. Yes, polyethylene is not a UV proof material, but France is hot. Africa, a big bazaar for France, is also hot. So they build it for the hot places, much of sun places, and much of the luxury inner lining materials are not that much resistant to sunlight. This one is. It can go on for years and years and years, and it needs almost no maintenance. Only a few cleaning, or maybe if you like sometimes by silicone spraying, you can easily maintenance it. Also, it's much easier to get it out and again reassemble, disassemble. This cycle is very easy also. You use less nuts, less screws. This is the air condition outlets, the car radio. You can make it or buy it with wider screen LSDs, or this is enough also. It has Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, has USB. It's not powerful enough to charge your phones. It gives about 700 milliamps, at most 1 amps per hour, and it's very small amount of electricity for today. You can only charge less than iPhone 6, or this is 2023. You can charge once the phones earlier than 2015, but it works, and it's muchly designed for data. You can synchronize it if you don't have Bluetooth or you don't want to use it. You can use your cable, data cable, and listen to music here. I am using Bluetooth, and I have assembled these magnets to my phone. I don't have to carry it, or I don't have to put it somewhere like that, and this means more security for my phone and for me on the road. The seats, they are not Audi, not Volkswagen, not Ford Focus, but much similar to Renault Megane. Yes, the inner feeling is not as good as Renault. It's also cheap. It's polyurethane, mostly used in your refrigerators, but the materials of the coverage is good. That isn't 100% polyamide or polyester. It has also cotton. This means you don't sweat too much, and it works. It helps for 4 hours, 5 hours. You can easily sit down and go. I know it's much better in some more expensive cars, but this is money, this is what you get. Let's get to the engine. As I have said, this is a remake of an atmospheric engine, 3 cylinders, 999 cc, I don't know in inch cubes. It's older 1.2, a cylinder is taken. As I have said before, a remake of aluminium. It's lighter and it works very fine. It doesn't consume much oil, so it's how to say, I don't know. Yes, you should make proper maintenance, but it is resistant to your mistakes of maintenance. It uses 5W40 or 0W40 oil because turbo needs a variety of I don't know, I have forgotten the real word for flowing, how easy to flow. If I remember, I will say it's in motor oils like W, 10W30, 10W40, not suitable for this car. It doesn't say I won't go, but you will reduce the lifetime very much, almost reduced to half. Its brakes, it has ABS, ESP, a lot of 3-lettered toys. It helps you, yes. This car is higher than ground. It's an SUV. Even the engine is small and the torque is not as much as a real SUV. It can easily go in off-road, not as off-road like a Land Rover or Willys or something else, but it can go without road, especially in plain off-road. It's very much okay. But this being higher from the ground gives you a problem in how to say, balancing. It's very, you see, it's not a hard and direct going car. In turns or during braking, during slowing, it slows, it turns, there is no problem with it, but it feels like it won't do that. It will go direct or it won't stop. This is the feeling you have. It is more because of the suspensions. As the word suspend, you know, the car, the body is normally suspended on the rising parts of the car, the axles. Normally in these kinds of higher ground cars, to have a good road cruising, you should have some hard suspension. But hard suspension isn't fine for you, doesn't feel you relax, doesn't make you, I don't know, soft. So Renault engineers use soft suspensions for that, and as if it is suspended, yes, the tires get the road very well, but during the turns or during the deceleration, it gives the feeling of no, I won't do that. It does, don't worry. It has fine brakes, it has fine steering, and cruising is good, gripping the ground is good, but the feeling it gives you is not so comfortable. Yes, the word was comfortable. If you use hard suspension, you won't feel comfortable. If you use soft, then some of the cruising abilities, or not abilities but specialities, are not so comfortable. It sometimes fears me, oh, it won't stop, or it won't turn this down. It pushes you to go slowly, and you should go slowly. It's not a fantasy car, it's not a speed car. Yes, it can go up to 108 kilometers. I tried it in closed areas. In autobahns, some places it's allowed, and I have tried it, and it goes up to 108 kilometers, 75. By the way, everything I say is on LPGs. It has start-stop. It doesn't stop when you stop. It stops about 5 kilometers. In some resources it says 6 kilometers, but it is almost impossible to see 6. I've used it up on the hills. The engine is hot and the turbo is hot, so the start-stop didn't get into function. Don't worry, the engineers thought of that. In most of forums, people say, oh, turbo is very vulnerable. Yes, it is very vulnerable, but not because what you say, or start-stop doesn't make it so. When it is hot, if you stop the engine, yes, turbo has over 200,000 RPMs, and it reaches very high temperatures. It depends on the engineering. I cannot give you an exact temperature, but it can go twice, 3 times, 5 times more than the engine itself. So, and it is cooled only by oil and very little oil, and that oil comes from the engine itself. So when turbo is hot, when you turn it off, yes, it is not good for turbo. When the RPM is high, when you stop it, yes, it's not good for turbo. But this is built with turbo. The turbo isn't added at home. It's built by the factory itself. It's full electronic. It has software, and it sees, yes, turbo is hot, then don't give the start-stop. Yes, it is turbo, we start with push button, then try not to stop, or have some more RPMs after you push the stop button, then totally stop. Totally turn off the ignition. By the way, normally start-stop function is derivated for or discovered for direct injection engines. This is not a direct injection engine, it is indirect injection, but it simulates direct injection. How is it made? I don't know, but it has a very small tank in the injection. So after start-stop, when you press clutch or press 3 times to brake pedal, the ignition is on again, but for a second, only for a second, the RPM is not stable. I hope I will have possibility to show you that. But on the road, if you have a start-stop and you press clutch, please wait a second, count the 1, then press the accelerator pedal or the gas pedal. The brakes use .4, not .3, and you don't need .5 or 5.1. The hydraulic fluid, the brake fluid inside it, is totally closed. It is the same for any car after produced after 2000. It cannot be decomposed of anything from weather or air. It absorbs the humidity in air. It's a total lie. The fluid, brake fluid, is a kind of an alcohol. So when you press the brake pedal, it is squeezed and it squeezes the brake pads, and these pads hold the wheels, then you stop, and this produces a lot of heat. The brake fluid can stand that much heat, but it decomposes by time. Some smaller alcohols and water. Water boils about 100 degrees. But when you press brake pedal, the fluid gets up to 120, 140, sometimes 160 degrees. Depends on your abilities, what you are used to do when you are driving. So more water in brake fluid gives you less pressure to the wheels. The boiling produces pressure, yes, it's true, but half of it goes to wheels, and the other half comes back to you. This means that tree is a smaller polymer. It cannot stand that much heat. It's much before 2000 built cars. That 4 is enough for after 2000 produced cars. And then what is that 5 and that 5.1? In some high performance cars, they don't use metal disc, they use ceramic. Of course not the ceramic we use at home, but a very hardened ceramic, because they can reach up to 1000 degrees and without any decomposition or degradation they work well, and the fluid you use should stand that much heat too. That 5 and that 0.5 are silicone based, not alcohol based, so that they can stand that much heat. Using them in a DAT 4 won't give you any more power, won't give you any smoother braking. The more qualified brake pads you use, the smoother braking you get. Not anything with the brake fluid. So DAT 4 is suitable and the best. DAT 5 much more expensive, doesn't give you anything more, doesn't have anything bad. I don't know, I didn't use it and I didn't see anyone using it. But as far as I know, the ceramic brake discs are effective after 500 degrees. It must be heated. This may be valid for the fluid, so the degrees you use in these cars, you may have some power loss in brakes. That's a possibility. I didn't try it. I cannot say this happens. But especially it's cold, when the fluid is cold, you may lose some braking pressure power. After what's more to say, it has an air conditioning. It's not a very powerful air conditioning. It's about 5000 BTUs. It's not written in any source, but as I have used some Renault Megane and they were 7000, this is not as powerful as them, so I predict or accept it as 5000. And since it's 1000 cc, yes, it takes a lot of power from you. It takes a lot of fuel from you. If I go discourage, now my AC is off. If it was on, it takes about 2 liters more per 100 kilometers. Now I am on 7 liters per 100 kilometers. It would make more than 9. 1000 cc, was it enough? If it was atmospheric, it would be a really problem on hills or on bad roads, but turbo gives you additional torque and some more horsepower. Yes. Does it make you consuming less? No. Consuming is something much different. Let's say this car is 1.5 ton. Taking 1.5 ton from point A to point B, which has a distance of 2 kilometers, let's say, has an X calorie, has a value of X calorie. It doesn't change and it doesn't get less. It's this in this universe. If you find to go to a parallel universe, please inform me. But this is not in this world. So, motion for that 1.5 ton car, let's say it's 7 liters, it's again 7 liters, whether it is 1.0 cc or 1.6 cc. The consumption is mostly or more related with your efficiency. If your engineering uses your fuel more efficient, a 1.6 liter can consume less than this 1.0, but this 1.0 is built for economics, built for efficiency. So yes, if you don't use high velocities, high speeds, high RPMs, it is really economic. Let's say now it's very plain road, and this road is allowed 110 kilometers per hour. I am going this way and it's about 7 liters in LPG. It makes about 5.6 liters in gasoline, and this is mostly, yes, real. It's a calculated value. There is no metering like your water meters you use at home or natural gas meters you use at home. It's not based on this, but the car calculates it, how fast I go, how much RPM I have. This must be about that much of liters, and also the electric consumption, and so, and it says you may go about this liters in 100 kilometers, or yes buddy, with a full tank you can go about that much, and it's 95% true. This is now my consumption. This is how much I can go more with the left fuel, and this is how much I came here. When you add the last 2 points, you get the total range, and it's now after less than 90 in normal roads like hills, downwards and plain roads. It makes about 540 kilometers with 35 liters of LPG, and it makes about 800 liters per 50 liters of gas, gasoline, not LPG. Now this is 260, and I have more 220 more. It makes 490, 590, because I am going upwards hills. After I am going downwards these hills, it gets reduced and it makes me more than 500. The most I have gone is 525 kilometers with 33 liters of LPG. Also, the more the car is empty, the less it consumes. Almost every 100 kilo of load gives you 1 more liter LPG more consumption. It's electrically powered steering. It has a Kremeyer system, but Kremeyer system alone needs a lot of power, and it's much problem in using rough roads, because it gives the every defect of the roughness to you directly. Hydraulic is much heavier and needs more maintenance. Electric is fine for the last users like us. You don't rally with it. You don't go higher, very high speeds, high velocities, and you don't get very high loads. So this is enough. But in some movies or some sports programs, you can see the F1 pilots or rally pilots turning like this. It's like dividing the power you have to give out while you are turning. It works in Kremeyer and in some hydraulic powered ones, but in electric powered steerings, yes, electronics is very much like a light speed, but the electric and the mechanic parts are not as fast as that. So it may take a couple of milliseconds. Normal people in normal speeds, velocities, these nanoseconds don't mean anything to you. But if you try to do like a F1 pilot, it won't give you anything positive. It doesn't give you anything negative. It doesn't make you do something wrong. It won't push you to an accident, but it won't help you anyway. By the way, again, let's return to the engine. Turbo gets into function about 1,500 RPM, and about 2,500 RPM you get the most torque and also the most efficient torque. This means you consume very little and you get very much. But as I have said before, this is a hybrid, much like a hybrid of a turbo and an atmospheric car. So when you have less than 2,500 RPMs, yes, consumption goes lower, but you lose much torque. If you go higher than 2,500 RPMs, it doesn't mean you won't get anything. You will, but it's not as much as an atmospheric car. Let's say an atmospheric 160, 1.6 liters of an atmospheric 4-cylinder car, it produces, let's say, 80 horsepower when you are 3,000 RPMs, and it goes 100 when you are 4,000 RPMs. It doesn't happen like that. It is maybe 80 in 3,000 RPMs. It's 87 in 4,000 RPMs. So you don't need to use very high RPMs to build to get more power. But some atmospheric character happens to live with you. So when you have heavier load, when you are climbing a hill, you may need some more RPMs. 2,500 is not the most torque point then. Let's say a Volkswagen or Mercedes engineered 1.3 Renault engine. A bad driver and the road workers. I will show you. We will climb some hill a bit further. On the road, about 2500 RPMs gives you enough power to go with about 110 kilometers, and it gives you a very good efficient point. But when you are climbing a hill, or when you have heavier load, or when you have the AC opened, it cannot produce the same power as before. So you must higher, you need more RPMs, you must boost it. In turbo engines built directly for turbo, like Volkswagen engines, like Mercedes engines, like the 1.3 of Renault or Peugeot engines 1.2, they are built directly for turbo. So they give you a very big amount of torque, let's say 1.5, 1.7, at most 2000 RPMs, and it's mostly enough for you to go. And on the hill you may need only maybe 500 more RPMs. You don't need much high RPMs. Even you don't need a fast acceleration. Oh, and who needs like that? I don't know. I never needed that much acceleration. And as I have said, the consumption and the release of power isn't relatedly much with your RPMs. This means if you are an atmospheric engine user, yes, you won't have any problem with that car, with that engine. This engine is used widely in Renault, Nissan, now Mitsubishi, in some Mercedes, some countries, and in Dacia, maybe later in some other brands. I don't know about South America and North America, if Renault Group use another brands. But in Europe, Asia, some in Australia and Africa, these brands are used, and this engine is used. And this is, as I said, the characteristics are so. Also, the maintenance is much easier with that engine. I have seen a 1.3, you can see almost nothing, and you need to take out more than 15, 16, 20, maybe 40 nails, I won't say, I forgot the right word. But this, you can easily change oil, you can easily change the filters, you can easily change the sparking plugs. And if you have a wrench set, you can easily do all of this. In the other cars, it's almost impossible. By the way, in France, how to say, the frequency of maintenance is 40,000, but in Turkey it's 20,000. It's said because the fuel we use in Turkey is not good, and in Europe it has much higher standards. I don't know. Maybe in France Dacia earns more and he needs less to earn from the services, but in Turkey it's opposite. Actually, I do not know. What to say more? As I have said, it can go to 180 kilometers, 170, 75 kilometers. I use a manual one. It's 6 gears. As I have said before, less than 1,500 turbo isn't in the mode. You won't have turbo during the startups, during the takeoffs. You don't have the help of turbo. So first gear is very, very strong. It's actually like an analogy, it's not a 6-gear car, not a 6-speed car. It is again a 5-speed car, but the first gear is like a half or -1 for the higher powered cars. And also the gears are very close to each other, especially the first 4 gear, 1, 2, 3 and 4 are very close. Let's say you start with first gear, and right after you get out of your clutch you should get to 2, and maybe around 30s you should get the 3, around 40, 50 you should get to 4, a bit higher than 50 you should get to 5, in plain roads 70, in higher in hills you need 90, and if you want to get much acceleration around 90 you need to get 6th. It's like a semi-automatic. At 6th gear from 70 to 170 you can go on if you don't have a climbing road in front of you. Dip. The items given, by the way, it has ESP. It cannot be turned off. Yes, it is helpful on the road while turning, while on badland. This ESP helps you, but in a very narrow condition. I've gone to a camping place once, and it was a forest road. While I was returning, a part of the hill has a higher degree, and it was dirt. It was soil, not asphalt. While going up, of course, with 1000 cc you need more RPMs. Then the wheels, even they were for mud and snow wheels, off-road wheels, they have some free turns. They didn't grip the road, and the ESP got in, and the engine stopped because I have lost RPM, and less than 1500 RPM turbo is gone, and the producing of the power was not enough, and I couldn't go up there. I tried to go up. Sometimes power was not enough, sometimes ESP didn't let me go. In French it's patinage. I don't know it's in English. The wheels tried to turn, they couldn't grip the ground, and the ESP got in and said no, this much RPM is too much, and I couldn't build and I couldn't produce much power, and it stopped. No, it doesn't get that much degrees. About 12 degrees, 12%, and more than 45 degrees, it's not a good idea to climb. And in dirt it gets lower, and also if you need to get over some ground defects which have more than the radius of your car, it's impossible. Let's say this is 20 inches in diameter, it's 10 inches in radius. Anything more than 10 inch cannot be climbed, cannot be gotten over, so don't try that. I don't know in 1.3, I don't know in 4-wheel drive ones of this Duster, Dacia or Renault Duster, I haven't used it. it can produce much and much more power, horsepower, and also four-wheel driving gives you much road gripping, and also you can use for low. This means you can be like a tractor, you can go on, yes, but the 1.0 THC engine has these two defects. Police and radar. I am sorry, I wasn't going that high. And also you will have a problem during longer range driving, and especially in LPG, and it will you will face it more if your AC is open. You will get a warning like this, and it will rise, check the injectors, check the injectors. At first I thought, about 6 months I have lived it, I thought it was a very big problem. I have gone to the service of Renault, asked for it, they have tried a lot, and it happened to go on. After getting using it not roughly, soft driving, it disappears. Not doing anything, you don't have to do anything, it disappears. But after some hard driving or pushing the engine, you will get it. It doesn't matter in the city or intercity. It depends on the weather, it depends on how hot the weather it is, how more RPMs you have, how hard you use the AC. But it has this warning, and it says check the injectors. As much as I have got the answers for my questions from Renault, and as far as I have learned from international forums, this is because of the sensors used in Dacia. The software is made for Renault, and the software is made for the sensors used in Renault, but the sensors used in Dacia are different. Let's say, I don't know in real, Renault uses Bosch and Samsung. The sensor means a transistor or a variable resistor. How much it gets higher, the more volts get through the circuit, and it understands, oh, this is 3 millivolts more, then I am 3 degrees more. And then software says, yes, work this on, give this warning, or do this, this, and this. Let's say the sensors in Renault, again, only as an example, tells the software that if the engine gets 1 degree higher, it lets 1 millivolt more, and the software says, yes, 1 degree more. When it gets to 100, give this warning. But in this, let's say Vishai or something else is used, it may be again good one, I don't know which one is used, and I don't know which quality. I cannot say anything, I cannot say it's bad or thing, but the characteristics are different because of their chemistry. Now we are on a hill, it's getting less, the RPM is decreasing. I have gone to 5th grade, now I can go around 3000 RPMs, it goes, but the hill is also has a bigger degree, so if you lose again RPM, I should have to get even to 4 or 3, it depends. Let's get to our first program again. In this, the sensor in this one, if 1 degree goes higher, it releases 1 more millivolts. but if it is 2 degrees higher, it lets 3 millivolts higher. It is 4 degrees more, it gives 8 or 10 millivolts. So the software and the CPU thinks that the engine is very hot, or the combustion chamber is very hot, and it tells you that you need to check the engines. At the first time I had a problem of having how to say, it didn't let me use LPG and it returned to gasoline. Then official Renault services gave me a have loaded another software. Now it doesn't get to fuel consumption change, it doesn't get it. You go on going with LPG 2, it doesn't make any difference for you, but it gives the warning again and again. And also without normal start stop, ignition off, and if you don't ignite ignition off with this button, let's say you don't have enough RPMs during the start, if the engine ignites off, gets off, then it gets to gasoline. It stops using LPG. It was like I wasn't having enough power with this RPM, and I have gone to 4th gear, and now I'm going over 3000, near to 4000, because I don't want to use my acceleration. In turbo built ones you won't need that. Again on the subject, after that software, as I have said, it's official Renault software, and Renault services gave it to me, and some of my friends have got that too. It doesn't get to gasoline, it doesn't switch you to gasoline when you get that warning, check the injections. But now it has a problem of when you stop the engine during the startup or taking off, you go to you switch to gasoline, and during that drive you cannot get to gas again, you cannot switch it. In order to switch it, go about 500 meters, get out of the road, stop the engine in normal, open the front doors, it says yes, they are going now, and it resets. Afterwards, ignite the car on, it again starts with the gasoline, but you can switch it to LPG by normal switch. This is a fabrication LPG, so most of the things I say is special to that kind. If you get a gasoline and add the LPG kit later, probably you won't have that problem, because second part montage LPG kits have their own CPUs, and they do these calculations and measurements on their own sensors and CPUs. But in this one, the CPU is one and the software is combined, merged, so there is something with the software. I don't know why. Maybe 2 or 3 lines of this software has changed places. Only changing places will be effective. I don't know. I don't know that much software. I am not that good a software hacker or something else. That's what I have learned and what I predict, I think. I use that rear cam and dash cam It's like a inside mirror, it works also, and now it records front and back. 70 May Xiaomi. It's fine. Anything can be on the road, and sometimes there is nothing than words. This is a good and objective alibi for you. Was it so defective, the original mirror? No, it works, it helps. Also the sides are fine, but this can see much better in dark at night, and it has a wider angle. Oh, I don't know what to say more. If any questions, please don't hesitate to ask from the channel. If you want, I can produce some videos about antifreeze fluids, braking fluids, engine oils. I am not an engineer, I am a pharmacist, but I am so similar to chemistry of them. And also I am a 30 years of more than 30 years and more than 2 million kilometers of a driver. I have some knowledge. Goodbye folks. I hope see you again.